Now, leading into this section, Tucker's talking about how Nancy Pelosi once more said that there's not going to be a dime for the wall because it's immoral, right? And that's an important thing. It's not just that it won't work or it's ineffectual, it's immoral. That's her claim, meaning that somehow having the idea of having a wall to keep illegals out is in itself a non-moral thing to do, an immoral thing. And so Tucker's questioning that, especially because, as he said, and I've said before, that Nancy actually voted for a fence in the past, budget for a fence, and she also votes for walls in other countries, sending foreign aid to other countries that have walls, and she doesn't say that those walls are immoral. So Tucker's kind of asking, what is it about this wall, particularly on the southern border, that is immoral? Why exactly is that wall immoral? And so he's going to have a guest on to talk about it, who I think makes some really absurd points that I wanted to hatch out exactly why I think they're absurd. So here we go.
Those are the parameters of their morality. So what religion is this exactly? Joining us now to explain is Archbishop Chris Hahn. He's an attorney, radio host, and former aide to Senator Chuck Schumer, and he joins us tonight. So if you would, I think we've talked about this before. Nancy Pelosi has repeatedly called the wall immoral. And at first I thought, well, you know, she talks a lot, and I know the feeling. Sometimes you misspeak. But this is a talking point. This is something she's saying intentionally as the leader, now officially, of your party. So Democrats believe border walls are immoral. What does that mean?
I don't think she means it in the good versus evil type of morality, but rather this is a colossal waste of money since there's never been a ladder and a rope that hasn't beaten a wall.
Okay, I'll deal with the second part in a minute. So now we see this guy obviously can't defend the statement. That's what you're seeing here. What other way is there to mean immoral than it means immoral? Like, it doesn't, if she meant that it won't work or it costs money and it's wasteful, that's what she would have said. She said it's immoral because there's this dog whistling to the idea that if you want a wall, and this is when they say, like, no, build bridges, not walls. But the idea is that we should just accept illegals, and if we have a barrier to try to be able to stop them, that's somehow immoral or you're racist is the implication because you want that wall. And you see this all over the place. The last video I just did talked about how CNN's all yucking it up when a person says that people that want the wall or support the wall are all toothless racists. That's exactly what Nancy Pelosi's alluding to. If she said, no, it's stupid, it won't work, it'd be ineffectual, people would find other ways to get around it, that's what she would have said. She wouldn't continually say it's immoral. And this is one of the things that just upsets me greatly. When you have a side that says people that don't agree with my policies are immoral, evil people, then there's not going to be any debate. You wonder why the government's shut down? Well, we have one side that the leader of that side thinks that anyone that disagrees with them is an evil, racist, terrible person that's immoral. The other side might think, look, I think what you're doing is wrong. I think you're ignorant. I think that you're dumb. I think that your plans won't make sense. But when you have one side trying to argue, saying, I think that you're wrong, and the other side saying, I think that you're evil, that's like a really dangerous thing for that side to say that they think they're evil. There's never going to be any discussion. You're not going to negotiate with a racist. You're not going to negotiate with someone you think's immoral or evil and are racist or something like that. So let's go on. Oh, and a part about the rope, it's stupid. Of course we know. If that's true, why are there gated communities? Couldn't people just have ladders? It's so stupid.
I'm sorry, I will let you finish. I will let you finish, but I just want to back up. I promise. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just want to back up.
No.
What other sense of immoral is there? I mean, by definition, immoral describes something that is not moral. It is, again, by definition, within the scheme of morality. It's a religious precept. So what does that mean? How is the wall immoral?
Look, I mean, I don't think she means it in a good versus evil religious way. I think she means
what other way is there?
This is colossally stupid. This is a colossally stupid thing to build when a guy with a ladder that's a foot taller and a rope to get down the other side will beat it.
Again, then that's what she would have said. It would be colossally stupid. She wouldn't say it's immoral. And again, like Tucker says, okay, she says it once, you can forgive it. She said it over and over, at least 3-4 times. Because that's what she believes, that it is immoral. And this idea, again, with the ladder and the rope. Explain then the southern wall in Israel, why it worked. It lowered, tens of thousands of illegals were coming in from the south in Israel. They put the wall up. All of a sudden, now that number's down to like a dozen a year. Of course, it will never perfect things, but it could slow and halt the flow of illegal immigration. This dumbing it down. It's funny that you hear all these people on the left say, oh, Trump just wants to dumb it down. Of course, I don't think the wall will be the end-all, be-all. I think that you need other things like advanced technology. You need border patrol agents. We need to be increasing other things. I think the best way to go about it is to start punishing employers that hire illegals. So yeah, it's a multifaceted approach. And the Dems want to make fun of Trump and the Trump supporters saying, oh, they just want a wall. How stupid's that? Well, that's not what most people are saying. And then hilariously, because they claim the wall's oversimplified, and then they oversimplify it by just being like, a wall also needs a ladder and a rope, and that's it. So they're actually the same thing they're criticizing they're engaged in. Again, the important part is Pelosi said immoral. It's clear. You can even tell by his facial expression how he's kind of smirking. He's like, yeah, I have no defense of what she said.
Frankly,
no,
to borrow the NRA's argument, though, if we put a wall up to block out illegal, people who come here to want to harm us, people who want to come here illegally are the only ones who are going to be stopped by that wall, because people who are going to come here illegally or come here to harm us are going to figure a way around it, just like they figure out a way to get guns.
This has to be one of the all-time dumbest arguments I've ever heard. I can't believe that someone was allowed on television that would make this argument. And what's funny is, this is kind of the second time I've heard this argument from people that are supposedly serious intellectuals. The other time was a video I did on this viral image that's going around where this woman wrote a report. She's a Democrat writing logical reasons against the wall. And she basically makes the same argument in reverse that, oh, if we build a wall, then illegals that wanted to get back wouldn't be able to because the wall will be in their way. Equally stupid. Actually, this guy, his claim's even dumber. What he's saying, hear him out here, is like, okay, there's a wall on the southern border. And so right now there's legal, people coming from Mexico that are like, oh yeah, I want to come to the United States legally. I go through this port of entry, get in, got all my papers in order, go through legally. But if we put that wall up, I guess it'll block the legal ports of entry and they won't be able to come in? What sense does that make? Anyone who sought to go through a non-legal port of entry isn't illegal. So why would the wall stop any legal immigrant? Those ports will still be open. That's the entire point. So I have no idea what he's trying to say here. He's trying to take some swipe at the NRA. The NRA claim is, if you make guns illegal, the only people that won't get guns are law-abiding citizens. But that's totally different than what we're saying here. If you build a wall, the people that still want to come to the country legally will still be able to. The wall won't affect them in one way whatsoever. Only people that sought to pass through where the wall would now be, which would be illegal to pass through those areas, would be affected. So it's just, it's unbelievable. I keep hearing this, like somehow everyone who wants the wall is stupid, and like the intellectual superiors on the other side that know how dumb this is. And then they come up with arguments like this. Not to mention the leader of their party saying it's immoral, so everyone's evil or racist that wants the wall.
They're going to get their own wall. Oh, I think I'm following you. So they're going to get their own wall. They're going to buy a wall in the black market and bring their wall to our wall and beat it? Is that what you're saying, just to continue the metaphor?
No. Law-abiding people will be stopped by the wall, but the people who wish to break our laws will avoid the wall, like they do. That's the right argument for everything.
Is that true at prison?
That's the right argument for guns. It's the right. It should be accepted here too.
Okay, I'm trying to take you seriously. Is that also true at prisons, which are surrounded by walls? Walls meant to keep lawbreakers in. Do they not work?
So, a prison is a couple of acres, and you've got sentries pointed that can monitor that wall. The president's talking about thousands of miles of wall. Are we going to have sentries every 100 feet to watch that wall? Look, we'd be better off, Tucker. We'd be better off with modern technology. We'd use.
Okay. Here's the problem with this metaphor. What he's saying is, well, the wall can't have effect because you need other stuff. Yes, that's true. That's great. The wall on its own won't solve things. I don't think Trump's like, let's build the wall and then disband Border Patrol and ICE. That's not what he's saying at all. In fact, I'm sure that his plan would be, yeah, we'll increase agents there as well. And we'll increase tech and things like drones that he's going to be saying here. I'm sure Trump would be for all of that. There's this misnomer that it's like, oh, if you want the wall, you're saying that's the end-all be-all and there won't be sentries. So he takes the jail example. He's like, well, the wall works in the jail because you have sentries. Are you going to have sentries every 100 yards? Well, maybe not, but you'll have sentries every so often, and you'll also have other tech that the wall would help. The counter-argument to what he's saying is, well, then, look, if all we need is new tech and sentries, why do prisons have walls at all? Obviously, the wall is of some benefit in the prison. It keeps people, according to his argument, no, walls are stupid. These people would just climb over them, no need for them. So instead, we should just have drones and sentries. Eliminate all the walls in prison and just set sentries around. Clearly, that's stupid. Clearly, the wall is of some benefit. It helps. It doesn't solve everything itself, but along with other things like the armed guards, it is able to be effective. It's the same argument with the wall on the border.
drones. We can use other things to monitor the border, make sure it's backed up by the appropriate amount of border patrol.
I'm trying to be reasonable.
Not going to make sense.
We both know.
Okay. One, we already do those other techs, right? We're doing things, and that's what they'll say. Oh, we voted in the past for things like increased tech and stuff, and yet we still see illegals coming in huge numbers. And second, why is that not immoral? What exactly is it about the wall that's immoral, but you could have guards keeping people out? So if we build a human wall, right, if we just had every 50 yards an ICE agent, they would be cool with that, presumably. Or if we had drones every 50 yards keeping people out, that would be okay. That's totally fine. But the wall itself, that's not okay. The fence, which they voted for before, that's totally moral. But making that fence a wall is immoral. It's clear that these people aren't to be taken seriously. Either there's only two explanations. Either one, they're lying and people like Pelosi actually want illegal immigration, which is what I believe. And I even believe that with the establishment Republican side. That's why nothing's been done about it for years. Reagan's made some deals, gave some people amnesty and citizenship because they were going to have border security. How long ago was that? Oh, and things have just got exponentially worse since then. Nothing's ever done. Neither party in power. They talk about it every 2 years and then nothing gets done. And so now all of a sudden the plan Trump has where he's like, look, I want to get serious. Maybe you don't think the wall's the best thing in the world. Maybe you don't think it'll work. Fine, that's a totally reasonable argument. I don't mind having that discussion. But that's not what the Democrats are saying. They're saying it's immoral. You're racist for wanting it. Okay, so in other words, what makes that racist? It has to be the idea of wanting to keep illegals out. In other words, if you want to keep illegals out, you're racist. So they know that, again, my thought of this whole time has been, it's not that the opposition is because they think the wall won't work. It's the opposition is they're worried that it may work. That's the real problem. Otherwise, they wouldn't be making these morality arguments that they're making. And secondly, if it's true that all this tech and stuff will be able to work, why hasn't it worked in the past?
That you're in favor of more people coming here illegally, and I'm not, and that's the actual debate. But for the purposes of, we're pretending,
I'm not in favor of anybody coming here illegally.
For border security. Of course, we're not. But I just want to drill down a little bit on this idea of morality, because I think it's really important. When the leader of a political party starts calling the other side immoral, that's not a small thing. So I just want to understand, in the very same day that she said that, she pushed to allow taxpayer dollars from the United States to go abroad to fund abortions in Latin America, among other places. So you're saying it's immoral to keep Latin America out with a wall, but it's not immoral to pay for Latin American abortions? That's what Nancy Pelosi is saying. Do you agree with that?
Look, I get where Tucker's going with this, and yeah, I think that's immoral too, to be sending aid to. In fact, I think sending aid elsewhere while you're saying that it's immoral for us to have a border wall is ridiculous. The point of our government is to look out for the people of this country. That's the idea. That doesn't mean we treat other countries like crap or anything like that, but we secure our country, and we are supposed to be, our representatives are there to represent the legal people in the United States, not illegals. Again, that doesn't mean going out of your way to harm other countries. I'm against that. You won't hear people, I'm one of you'll hear me as loud as anyone criticizing all these ridiculous foreign wars. But when Tucker's making the abortion point here, I think he's making a mistake in that even though a lot of people will think that it is immoral, and I agree with that, you're conflating the issue, and then it allows people on the left to just say, no, abortion's a good thing, it's the right to choose. So I don't think he's making a great argument here. But anyways.
Well, I think we would need like a couple of hours to discuss the morality of actions
an answer?
Like,
I mean, just the two of them.
Of choice.
Which is more immoral, building a wall or using tax dollars to pay for abortions in other countries? I'm just wondering.
I'm not going to. First of all, tax dollars do not pay for abortions in other countries under the Hyde Amendment, which we all know about. So they will never go that way, right? But I mean, debating whether or not that's moral, immoral, that's a longer conversation. We probably got about a minute and a half.
I'm just wondering no, hold on. I'm not asking you to conduct theology here. I'm just asking you to give me your view. The two things, taxpayer money for sex selective abortions, which Nancy Pelosi is for, okay, or building a wall. One's immoral. Which one is it?
I don't believe that she's for sex selective abortions in foreign countries.
Yes, she
I think
is.
that's an overreach of what she's for. And look, I think the more moral use of the funding for the wall would be to fix the bridges and roads that are crumbling in this country that actually need repair.
Oh, okay. So then why are we funding other countries? I love this argument that all of a sudden now you have all these people on the Democrat side. It's like, well, here's way better areas we could use to spend this money. Then why do they have these pet projects like funding Planned Parenthood or giving foreign aid, all this other stuff they do? Couldn't we say that about all that? Like, whoa, 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 what are you giving aid to other countries for when we have bridges here that need built? No, 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 they'll never take it. So it's funny how the fiscal argument turns, right? Again, it's just them saying we don't want border security. We don't want to spend money on border security when we have infrastructure that needs fixed. Okay, then why don't we just take the billions of dollars we are going to send as foreign aid, use that to build the wall and border security, and the rest of it we'll put on infrastructure. That's more important, right? Oh, no, 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 no. Because they believe, this is in effect what they're saying, that the foreign aid is more important than the border security. That's what they believe. Now, does that sound like a group of people that would take seriously the idea of border security? That think that there's a problem with illegal immigration? Absolutely not. That's why they slip up when they're saying it's immoral, right? It's not that it won't be effective. They don't want it to be effective. They think it's immoral. It's not an argument of will the wall work or won't it work. It's you're evil, you're a racist if you want the wall to work. And why? Well, the implication is if you want to keep illegals out, you're racist. That's what it is. That's why they think it's more important to send foreign aid, because they care more about the foreign citizens than they do about their own constituents.
And spend a couple of bucks on Ring video doorbells for border security
So can
if
I
you're
ask
really not
another
worried about it. Because it's really
question?
not as big of a problem as the president. What's immoral is the president making a problem that doesn't exist.
Okay. So, really quick, at the very same time, again, that she was pushing against America's ability to defend itself and its borders and for more taxpayer-funded abortions in other countries, she was also pushing for more foreign aid for other countries, some of which would go to border security. We've already funded, with her approval, border security, including walls in a bunch of other countries. Why were those not immoral, but our wall is immoral?
Well, you know, when we talk about the Israeli wall and other countries that have walls like that, they are in a constant state of war with their neighbor. We are not in a state of war with Mexico. We are not having a crisis at the border. People are not lobbing bombs into our country from Mexico. In fact, they're our biggest trading partner.
Right. I understand that. And there are a number of barriers in Israel, and some of them are designed to keep terrorists from coming in, and I don't think anyone would question their right to do that. Good for them.
Right.
But there's also a barrier on the southern border of Israel with Egypt that is designed solely to keep immigrants from Africa out of their country. Now, I think it's Israel's right to build that wall. I would never contest that. I don't have a problem with it. But Nancy Pelosi doesn't have a problem with it either. That wall's not immoral. But our wall is immoral. I honestly don't understand that. What is the answer?
You know, we're a nation of immigrants. It's what makes this country great. It's what reflects.
So now, do you see how absurd this is? So it's okay for other countries to build walls to keep illegal immigrants out, but we're a nation of immigrants, so it's immoral. Again, if you just listen to them, they're telling you what they're saying. They're telling you. It's coded, but you could get it. What he's saying is, no, we don't want a wall to keep people out. It's okay for Israel to have a wall to keep people out. That's totally cool. Whatever. That's not immoral. The reason it's immoral here is because we're a nation of immigrants, so we need to allow these immigrants in. The wall would have a chance of stopping these immigrants from coming in, therefore it's immoral. In other words, he doesn't think that the problem of illegal immigration is important to solve. They want the illegal immigrants. And this is exactly what Pelosi's saying when she says it's immoral. If you listen to, why wouldn't he say, what is the explanation for why the Israeli wall that Nancy Pelosi helped send funding for isn't immoral? What is the possible explanation? Because she thinks they have the right to keep illegals out. But we don't have that right, because that to keep illegals out here is somehow immoral. In other words, she likes the illegal immigrants. And geez, I wonder when they're pushing for amnesty for a bunch of illegals that are already here, who do you think those illegals will vote for? I wonder why all of a sudden the Democrats would be all for these illegals coming in like that.
Precious this country gives us a competitive edge with the rest of the world. If the president and his party want to change that, that should be what they talk about.
But
what they're doing right now is demagoguing about some invisible threat that does not exist at the southern border.
See, so it's a matter of, if you want a wall, if you want to protect from illegal immigration, then clearly you don't like immigrants. Another thing they do all the time. No one's saying that. No one's conflating illegal immigrants with legal immigrants, other than the left and people like Pelosi and this guy. No, we could still be competitive. In fact, we should have a very serious look at how many legal immigrants we're taking in every year. We should take in the ones we think could help our country the best. That's great. That give us a competitive edge. All the things he's saying. True. Yeah, we should do all that. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't stop illegal immigration. Again, by them complaining that, you can see what they're saying is, we think the illegals are good. They help our country. Otherwise, he wouldn't be conflating the issues.
And it's time for them to stop and face reality and open the government and have a conversation about real border security.
How many people are here illegally now in the United States? Do you know?
I would think over 10 million. Between 10 and 14 million.
Try over 20, which is the latest estimate, and not from some right-wing organization, but from Ivy League researchers. Does that seem like a lot? Does that seem like the current border security schemes are working to you? Over 20 million people?
It seems like a lot, and it seems like a lot, and 90% of those people, Tucker, did not cross the southern border. They overstayed a visa.
How do you know?
They may have come here on a plane or a boat.
That's not true at all. He's going to go on after this to say that's what all the studies say. I just looked up the other day. Even PolitiFact says that actually the overstay of visas is responsible for about 45%. So his claim of over 90% is grossly misleading and inaccurate. And also, look, what is the claim here that he's trying to make? That somehow we shouldn't worry about the people that come across the border because a lot are overstaying from visas? That hardly seems to make sense either.
How do you know that? You don't even know within 10 million how many are here. How do you know how they got here?
I wasn't prepared for that question, but every Ivy League study that I've read shows, every Ivy League study that I've read about this topic says that exact same thing, that most people who are here illegally have just overstayed their visas. And building a wall at the southern border is not going to change that. It's just a colossal waste of money. And if you believe a waste of money is immoral, then it's immoral.
How they got here, we're just guessing it's not going to work. Okay, maybe you're right. We'll see. Chris, thank you very much. All right.
You kind of see there, just like, again, the important thing I wanted to get from that video is that if you really let them talk and listen to them, they're actually saying that they don't have a problem with illegals. They don't want border security. That's what they're saying. That's why you would say that it's immoral. Otherwise, you would say, no, we want border security. We just think that it's ineffectual. We're not going to say that you're a terrible person or a racist for wanting it. Look how he says, oh, and if Trump, what it really should be about is Trump just saying, oh, well, if you want to change the fact that you think immigration is good for this country and helps us competitively, then you go ahead and say that. Then you change it. That's not what he's saying. He's saying stop illegal immigration. So the mere fact that you conflate that proves that you think illegal immigration is a net benefit. It's good for the competitiveness of the country. In other words, you encourage illegal immigration, or you wouldn't be conflating that issue. The other thing is, I constantly hear people say, oh, it's not a problem, it's a fake problem, haha, it's no big deal. This is just Trump exacerbating the situation, being hyperbolic to try to drum up support. Look, I get that I won't convince those type of people that illegal immigration could do things like drown out wages, have all kinds of other problems in a country. So let's just put it this way. The idea that we now have a system where people like this or people like Pelosi are saying the border security is immoral and dog whistling that we like illegal immigration, that it's good for the country, that encourages these caravans to start in the first place. And then what happens to the people in the caravans? I'm not saying they're terrible people. I'm asking what happens to them. Well, according to groups like Amnesty International, 80% of the women are victims of sexual assault at some point. There are people robbed by coyotes. Human trafficking occurs. There have been people that are murdered. There are people that die of exposure, dehydration, starvation on the trip. Children that aren't making the trip. They're being separated from the families even before they get to the United States border. I think all those things are important. I think we should have it. Now, I know that they think that's a fake crisis. They don't care about those people. They don't care at all. They don't care that they basically dog whistled that they should come. It would be great, knowing full well that they're probably not going to get in. And now you see a bunch of these people that were in the caravan that are still in Tijuana. Tijuana's a mess now. Their infrastructure is not able to handle the remnants of the caravan that's there. It's causing all types of things. Not because these people are necessarily terrible people or dirty or anything like that, but just the influx and not having the infrastructure to deal with it's leading to things like crime, leading to things like pollution, all kinds of problems that now Tijuana's at the breaking point. And when you talk to a lot of these people in the caravan, reports I've seen are saying, we feel like we were misled. Well, I think that's a problem. Let's take everything else of illegal immigration, why it's a problem, out. And just that left-wing cause, which surely the left would be a part of, and say, yes, it's terrible. The treatment that these caravan people get is terrible. We should have it set up where we let them know, no, don't come in the first place. It's going to be a terrible trip and you're not going to come in. But no, then they'll switch and say, well, we should let them in. Aha! See? And there's the argument. You want the illegal immigrants to come in. That's the entire point. And you pretend like it's not a problem because you like the problem. You don't think it's a problem because you like the illegal immigration. So... yeah, and I'll link to the other video where you can see specifically Pelosi saying again that the wall is an immorality, is how she puts it, and that's why she won't give even a dime for the wall, even though she's voted for the fence before. So, All right, hey, if you like this video, like and subscribe. I'll be putting more up pretty much daily. So have a good one.